Time now for the Nick Hart Show, our weekly chat with the GIbson Southern Titans head football coach. The Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash is made possible by Matt Michael of AgriGold, Brett's Car Care, Chips, Sell My Teas, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Daylight Land Management, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Hobb Range Hood Company, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hydorn Construction, Hilliard Lions, Matt Monroe, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Johnson Commercial Mowing, Julia's School of Dance, Kathy Solman Photography, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Make Your Mark, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, MyTech Systems, Pole Concrete Construction, Pro Rehab, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, 10 Barge Seed, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, and by Ziliac Enterprises. Now, the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
It's Tuesday night, so that means it's time for the Nick Hart Show. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the GIbson Southern Titans, Nick Hart. And Coach, it was a good start for the Titans this past Friday night as your ball club defeated Forest Park 56-7 to start the season 1-0 overall and 1-0 in the Pocket Athletic Conference. So let's take a look at the team and individual stats from the season opener. And starting right off here, a glaring stat is total offense. Your Titans amassed 472 yards of offense, even though you were on a short field much of the night. I mean, if I remember right, the opening kickoff, you got the ball in your own territory, but then it was quarters later before you actually started another drive in your own territory. Forest Park had 102 yards of offense on the night, so 472 yards. That's pretty good.
That's really good, especially you said short field and then a short second half. I think we only had 2 drives in the second half with the running clock. So, very efficient, very explosive, and a good start.
So looking at the rushing yards for each team, Forest Park had 27 carries for 54 yards. Your Titans had 28 carries for 154 yards. Passing-wise, pretty even in numbers of passes by both ball clubs, 3 for 14 for Forest Park. Your Titans were 13 for 15. There's the big difference. Same number of attempts, but at the same time, Forest Park completed 3. Your ball club completed 13. That is accuracy to a T.
Yeah, and I know we'll talk about the individuals here, but as we talk about theirs, I thought we got beat on the fade on the one, but other than that, I thought our secondary played very well, and especially with their motion stuff, there's a lot of moving parts to make sure, that your coverage is in the right spot, and I thought our secondary did a great job.
Well, when looking at the passing yardage, 48 passing yards for Forest Park, 318 for the Titans. Another big stat. Big stat in every game comes down to, we talk penalties and we talk turnovers, and I'm not going to talk penalties today, so I'm going to catch you off guard right there. But the fact is, 3 turnovers for Forest Park. The big goose egg, 0 for the Titans.
Yeah, it's big. Taking care of the ball is always important, and on defense we stress taking away the football, and we make it a big deal about it. I don't know if people saw we have we stole a little something from Miami. We don't have the turnover chain, but we have the turnover championship belt. We wanted to make taking the ball away important, and it was something that got our defense, they were really excited, whenever they got to do that. So that's a cool little tradition we started. But, our defense did a great job of capitalizing on some Forest Park mistakes and being able to take the ball away.
Well, I tell you what, the defense was geeked up about that chain belt because they got over there. Oh, they were all doing their pictures, it was fantastic. But moving on, let's talk third down conversions, because I know you like looking at not so much how many first downs you get, but looking at your third down conversions. Forest Park was 2 out of 12 on the night. Your ball club was didn't have many third downs in the first place, but 1 out of 5, 20%. I know that's something that you would like to see, probably about 3 out of 5 if you had your druthers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a couple of them were late. I think we went back. I think we had 2, in the first half. But yeah, it's something we got to get better at. We put ourselves in a bad position on the one. We got the holding penalty and backed up. We had like 3rd and goal from the 20 or something. That's not conducive to converting. And I think that's one of the big things we always talk about is winning first down on both sides of the ball is what's going to put you in a good position to win on third down, which is obviously a very important down.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look here at some of the individual stats now on the evening. Passing-wise, Brady Allen, 13 for 14, and we talk about the Nintendo stuff. And the thing is, he wasn't throwing the bubble routes. You were throwing balls down the field, and he's hitting everything right in the numbers. And the one pass that he missed, again, was, I believe, to Seth DeLong, rolling out to his left. And we mentioned this in the postgame show. He had done a fantastic job all night long, because that's hard to do for a right-handed quarterback, is roll left and then throw going that way. And he'd always get his shoulders in the right position, get his hips in the right position, and puts the ball right on the numbers. And on that ball, he didn't get there, and it sailed wide on him. That's the only miss he had all night.
Yeah, he'll be running for that one. One incompletion. We got to make sure we get that fixed up. But no, it was fantastic. I thought for the most part we did a great job in pass protection, running backs and offensive line. And then to go 13 of 14, you're obviously throwing the ball really well, but you're catching it well. You're creating separation. There's a lot that goes into that, and that's a fantastic night to go 13 of 14. And like you said, we had a couple screens in there, but most everything was pushing the ball down the field. Just an extraordinary night all around. Quarterbacks, receivers, offensive line in the passing game.
Well, so 13 of 14 for 318 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then Nathan Bowes comes in. He only gets 1 opportunity. So he's probably going to talk to you about some more opportunities later down the road in this season. But he was 0 for 1. Rushing stat-wise, Owen Bryant, the little Energizer Bunny, had 5 carries for 50 yards. Mitchell Spindler had a great night, 10 carries for 49 yards, 1 touchdown. Ben Luttrell, he had 4 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. Connor Mormon had 4 carries for 14 yards. Nathan Bowes was 3 for 11. And Brady Allen, he had 2 carries, but we're not even going to count that. I'm not even going to mention it because they were sacks.
Yep.
But receiving stat-wise, Seth DeLong, he was the man of the night. And the thing is, I look at these guys, like I said, they all caught the football, but DeLong, Murphin, Hurlis, Spindler, May, these 5 guys all caught the football, and any of the 5 can go off on any given night. So Seth DeLong, it was his night in week 1, 4 receptions for 123 yards and 3 touchdowns. Logan Murphin had 3 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. Caden Hurlis had 1 reception for 60 yards and a touchdown. Mitchell Spindler had 3 receptions for 41 yards. And Adam May had 2 receptions for 19 yards and a touchdown. So 4 different guys accounted for the 6 touchdowns. That's outstanding.
It really is. It's a great job distributing the ball, and those guys doing something with it. When they caught out there, we had a lot of yards after the catch on the night, and those guys are all really explosive and can do stuff with it. And that's not even Ben Butler getting hurt early. He's not even on that list. So it's a very, very explosive group. Seth had a great night that tied the school record for touchdown catches in a game with 3. It's a great night for him. And then Hurlis, he's a first-year football player, so that was his first football game ever, first catch ever. He takes it to the house. So
he's an athlete. He can play.
So I told him after he scored, we never expect to see him get tackled. He set the bar high. We just got to throw it to him, and he goes and scores. So, but no, great night. Those guys have done a great job all summer, and it certainly showed there in week 1.
Well, and then going into the kicking stats here, you've got to be really, really happy with this. Your extra points, whether it was Jake Novotny, was 7 for 7, and Rory Heltzley was 1 for 1. So your JV kicker comes in, and he booms one through. So 8 for 8 on the night from extra points, perfect, because you hate missing those extra points and putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Now, and the only miss was a 39-yard field goal attempt. Plenty of leg. It just happened to go left. Next time, he puts it right down the middle. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing I think we got to get a little bit better at is our protection. On the PATs and stuff, it always seemed to be one guy each time. There's just a little bit too much leakage, and something we'll fix. I think that's something we don't go live at very much because you get so many guys into a short space and banging and stuff. So, I think those live reps on Friday night really helped, and we'll get that fixed and looking better before next week.
Well, and the hard thing is with kicking extra points, it's 1/3 of it is the kicker. Mm-hmm. Can they kick it and can they put it between the uprights? But you also have the snap and the hold. So there's 3 fluid parts here to this situation, and if one of those fails, it's a bad deal.
Yeah, for sure. We had great snaps, we had great holds all night. So, it was spectacular execution on that part. Like I said, I'd just like to see us, protect it a little bit better. Jake's probably got to speed up just a little bit too. The edge guys were getting a little bit close, which is on him and the snapper and the holder to on a timing thing. You protect the inside and beat the outside rush with the kick. So little things, but that's why we have film and practice, and we'll get those things going in the right direction.
All right, so let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll get your overall thoughts from Game 1 concerning the offense, defense, and special teams. But right now, we need to thank the folks that make the Nick Hart Show possible on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Hilliard Lyons and Matt Monroe, Hydorn Construction, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobb Range Hood Company, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips, Sell My Tees, Brett's Car Care, and Matt Michael of Agrigold.
Thank you for listening to 89.1 The Bash and the Nick Hart Show. All right, Coach, let's start with your thoughts, first of all, on the offensive side.
I thought very good execution. We missed a few assignments up front, and certainly got to get that fixed. But I think that's normal week 1 type of stuff. Especially, we saw some different things out of them. So, just making sure we're rule sound and following our rules. That's really, kind of my only beef with the offense was, I thought, we just missed a couple of things up front, but I thought they played spectacular. They were very physical, did a good job protecting the passer, just a few schematic things that we whiffed on. But, I think for week 1, I thought our tempo was good. It was crisp. I think for week 1, sometimes your timing's a little off and stuff that first Friday night, and I didn't see that, and it's kind of what we expect. We have 8-9 starters back on the offensive side. That thing should be rolling early in the season, and it was good to get out there and see that.
Well, and the thing is too with your offense, usually in that first game you see a lot of false starts, especially when you're trying to go the up tempo. And really, there wasn't the false starts on your ball club that night.
No, I think knock on wood, on both sides of the ball, we didn't have any pre-snap penalties. Which is, or at least in the first half, I think we lined up offsides on defense in the second half. But in the first half, no pre-snap penalties, putting yourself behind the 8 ball on first down. So that was fantastic.
Well, let's go over to the defensive side now, and what were your overall thoughts there? Because one thing that I said as a thing in the pregame was the defense. Let's see how physical and how quick they are side to side.
Things we can improve on for sure. We just kind of missed a few assignments up front again. And I think that's the hardest thing to do. In the summer you get all these 7-on-7 reps for your skill guys and everything. And, not that the big guys don't practice, but you don't see all the different looks that you normally see. So a few things up front. I thought we kind of played a little high at times, missed a couple run fits with our backers, but overall, very pleased with those guys, especially a lot of guys making their first Friday night start. And I think the one thing about this defense that I love, We saw it all summer, and it continued on Friday night. I mean, this group flies to the football. There were several times, they ran the jet sweep, and we'd set the edge, and the kid would try and cut it back, and we had, multiple maroon jerseys getting to the football and chasing the football. So very pleased. Again, we let a guy get behind us, and like I said, we thought we missed a few things up front as far as run fits, but fixable things, and I just loved the way that they played.
Well, and speaking of the defense, I should mention here, Max Beatles was in on 12 tackles, 5 solo, 7 assists. Caleb Sellers was in on 5 tackles. He had 4 solo, an assist, 2 tackles. 2 of those solos were for loss and a fumble recovery. Colin Martin was in on 5 tackles, 4 solo, and an assist. Carter Green, who I felt was all over the field. Jason was just talking about him all night long. He was in on 8 tackles, 3 solo, 5 assists, and also had a fumble recovery. So, and there's several other guys here listed with 3, 4, 2, 1 tackle. I mean, there's a whole list of guys with tackles, and that just tells me it's team defense.
Yep. And I think that's what this group does. And I think one thing that's really impressive, I thought Max Beatles played. He's had a great summer, and he played really well on Friday night. To be in on 12 tackles in one half is very, very impressive. That means you're getting to the football. But like you said, I thought great team defense. One thing we talk about a lot with our defense is, defense is one of those places where you can't make plays. Okay, you cause the play for the play to get made, especially those guys up front. And I thought a lot of times we did a great job of causing a play, and somebody else came in and made it. And that's what good team defense does, because the next time that guy's going to cause the play, and then you get to come in and make it. So I thought we did a great job of that, and a great job of getting to the football.
Well, let's go over now to the special team side. We've already talked about the extra points, but let's talk about kickoffs. Fantastic job by Jake Novotny. A couple of them went into the end zone. One was on the bounce. One was in the air. But otherwise, the tackles were being made inside the 30. And I know for years when I was coaching, we always wanted to make sure they were stayed inside the 35, because it's just so hard for a high school team to consistently drive and score from 65, 70 yards. Well, your group's keeping them inside the 30, and most of the time it was 20 and in.
Yeah. I thought we had great coverage all night. Beatles he won our special teams player of the week because like 3 of those tackles out of the 12 came on the kickoff team. He made a lot of plays. The first opening kickoff after we scored, he went down. A kid tried to block him, and he kind of shivered him and didn't break stride as he went down, and knocked that kid on his butt and went down and made the tackle. It was like out of a Disney movie. But it was fantastic coverage all night. We didn't get to punt with our first group, which is never a complaint out of me. So that was great. We had a nice punt return. DeLong, popped like a 20-yarder on a punt return. So that unit was pretty good. I like to apply a little bit more pressure on the kicker. Something we've been good at over the past few years is, maybe not even blocking kicks, but forcing bad ones by putting pressure on the kicker. And that's something we got to improve at a little bit. But, overall, we had a couple nice kickoff returns, getting the ball out to the 35, yard line or so. So, overall, I was very pleased with our special teams, especially in week 1, because we talked about this in the postgame. You practice special teams, but you don't really get to go live against anybody in special teams. Week 1's the first time you get to do it. And, I thought our guys executed well.
All right, so, Coach, right now, we're going to take a quick break and thank some of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show. And when we come back, we'll take a look around the Pocket Athletic Conference, wrapping up the opening week of the 2019 season, and get prepared for week number 2. As you are listening to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1, The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Pro Rehab, Whole Concrete Construction, MyTech Systems, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kathy Solman Photography, Julia's School of Dance, Johnson Commercial Mowing, and in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis.
Looking for a fun and great future in radio or television? Well then, come and check out the radio TV broadcasting program at Wabash Valley College. It is a 2-year degree program for students interested in various aspects of career opportunities in broadcasting and new media. Students will gain valuable hands-on experience by working at the college's radio station 89.1 The Bash and on the college's cable TV station News Channel 15. Wanting to learn more, go to www.iecc.edu or call us at 618-262-8641.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach of the Titans, Nick Hart. So, Coach, let's talk Pocket Athletic Conference. Looking at the standings after week number 1, your Titans and North Posey are both 1-0 in the conference. Heritage Hills and Southridge and Tell City are all 1-0 overall. So there's 5 teams right now in the Pocket Athletic Conference that are 1-0. And then Pike Central, Forest Park, and South Spencer are 0-1. So that tells me right off the bat that in the non-conference, the PAC did very well in week number 1.
Yeah, because if you think about it, there's 3 teams that lost. There was 2 conference games, so we only have 1 non-conference loss. So it's a great start to the season for the conference.
So looking at the scores from the past Friday night, Brown County defeated Pike Central 41-19. I don't know anything about Brown County, but Pike Central put 19 points up on the board. Tells me they have some ability to do so.
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to improve. Coaches in his second year there, and I think they'll continue to get better.
And of course, your Titans won 56-7 over Forest Park. Heritage Hills blanked Mount Vernon 36-0. Big 8 school, and Heritage Hills comes out 36-0. I know nothing about the game.
No, I just saw scores on Twitter or whatever. It was 30-0 really early. So I'm sure they haven't missed a beat. They have a lot of kids back from a very good football team, and came out and proved it week 1.
Then North Posey defeated South Spencer 26-13, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the halftime score. And so there was no score from either ball club. Good adjustments for both teams in that second half. So 26-13, it was right there. All the makings of either team could win, but that's the way it finishes up.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot about South Spencer, coming up here. But it was a good ball game. Both teams had some chances in the second half, couldn't convert, and there was some kind of missed opportunities on both sides.
Well, and then Southridge defeats Linton 28-20. I got to catch the end of that on the radio as I was going home. Linton was trying to make a comeback; they just couldn't quite get there. But that's a big win. I believe it was on the road.
Yes, it
Southridge winning 28-20.
Yeah, and Linton's a really tough place to play. So, week 1, they graduate a lot of guys, and week 1 to be able to go up there and get a win, really shows the strength of that program, and they're just going to keep, reloading as they go through there.
And then Tell City gets the win in week 1, 12-6 over Perry Central. So there's a good win right off the bat here for Tell City.
Yeah, really good. And Tell City's going to be in a lot of those low-scoring type ball games, and good to see them get that win.
Now, coming up this Friday night on August 30th, it'll be Heritage Hills at Tell City. So we just talked about Tell City getting the good win and limiting possessions. This will be interesting to see how they do against one of the top dogs in the conference in Heritage Hills.
Yeah, obviously Heritage Hills is rolling. 2 similar styles there. It'll probably be a shorter game. Both teams, run the flex bone and option football, and it'll be a fun game to watch.
Then North Posey at Mount Vernon, the battle of Posey County here. North Posey's got to be feeling pretty good about themselves, but Mount Vernon's looking to rebound.
Yeah, I think North Posey, it was a good win for them last week, and Mount Vernon, like you said, getting beat by Heritage Hills, looking to bounce back.
And then Perry Central is at Forest Park. So right now, Perry Central got beat by Tell City 12-6. Forest Park, maybe a shot there?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Forest Park is going to be competitive, and they had a new, it's a new offense. So week 1, you expect week 2 to be better than week 1 as kids are learning a new system. Then
Southridge at Jasper. Talk about battle royale.
Yeah, that one's always a battle. Man, that's a great opening 2 games for Southridge. You kind of find out a lot about your team with Linton and then Jasper. That's a tough non-conference schedule, and rooting for those guys to get a win over their county rival.
And then Tecumseh at Pike Central. Could be a good ball game right there.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Pike has a chance there, and I'd like to see him get a win. I guess Tecumseh's technically a PAC school, but they don't play PAC football, so we'll root for Pike Central to help our conference out.
All right, Coach. Well, there's one more segment to go, which means it's time to get the listeners ready for Friday night as your team prepares to take on South Spencer in a Pocket Athletic Conference matchup. But first, let's thank some of the underwriters for the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
Touchdown! The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, Roberts Boring, Trenching, and Excavating, LLC, Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, South Gibson Grain, 10 Barge Seed, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, and by Ziliak Enterprises.
Interested in becoming a highly paid manufacturing professional? Industry is desperately seeking skilled technicians, people who can solve problems by using their minds as well as their hands. Those who communicate, work in a team environment, and solve problems using today's technology. At Wabash Valley College, we're making skilled professionals desiring a career, not just a job. What will you be making? To get started in the Advanced Manufacturing Program, contact WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show right here on 89.1 The Bash, or you may be using the free app to access the show on your cell phone. So, Coach, week number 2, your Titans will host South Spencer at Jack Jewell Field, and we will have all the action live on 89.1 The Bash with pregame at 6:45 p.m. South Spencer will enter this contest with a record of 0-1 overall and 0-1 in conference play. So what do you expect to see from South Spencer on the offensive side of the football?
They're what I would call a multi-formational spread team. So, a lot of doubles and trips, but they play a lot of tight end sets as well. They'll kind of get in like an offset eye pistol, run some 2 tight end stuff, like with a tight end and a wing. So they give you, it's spread, but they give you a lot of different looks out of that spread with what they do. Quarterback, as a returning starter, as a junior, the Bartlett kid, he does a great job of leading their offense. And, I think they outgained North Posey, or at least at one time they were. I saw, on Friday night. So they moved the ball well. They had some untimely turnovers and had some drives stall out on them. But, they did a good job of moving the football, and they do a really good job, in their passing game. They have some nice RPOs that they run. Some really nice schemes. So very well coached, and it'll kind of be like playing against our offense. From a schematic standpoint, they play with a tight end a little bit more than what we do, but a lot of the stuff is similar. So it's something we've seen throughout the course of the summer, and obviously they can say the same about us. But they do a great job on offense, and I know they only scored 13 points last week, but I think that'll continue to go up as the year goes on.
Well, and sometimes, as you had mentioned, turnovers, untimely turnovers, can cost you on some drives. I mean, if you drive the ball down to the 20 and then all of a sudden you fumble it or you throw an interception, you're moving the football, doing everything you want to do, and then all of a sudden that turnover bug just hits you.
Yeah, they had one that sticks out in my mind. They had like 1st and goal at the 2, and they fumbled the mesh on the handoff, and they had a few drives, it seemed like, that got to like the 30, 35-yard line, and it kind of stalled out on them. So they moved the ball well, so it will be a great challenge for our defense.
Well, let's go over to the defensive side. What do you expect to see out of South Spencer in order to try and slow down a well-balanced offense? You got a ball club that can run the ball, and most definitely you can pass the football. So how are they going to try to stop that?
Well, they're a 3-4 team. North Posey's offense is a little bit different than ours. You got some of their base principles off of that film, but we also traded scrimmage films. So we got to see them go against Mount Vernon, who's a spread team, and see how they're going to do some of that stuff. But they're a 3-4 team. They'll jump into a 4-3 every once in a while. But a lot of cover 2, cover 4, that type of stuff. Want to keep people in front of them. Blitzes, we got to make sure that'll be an emphasis this week. Make sure we pick up when they bring pressure, and stuff like that. But they get to the football and do a good job.
All right, so let's go over to the special team side of things now. What do you see out of their kicker as far as kickoffs, as far as do they kick for extra points? Punt team, what's the returner like on a punt return?
They do kick extra points. They were 1 for 2. The other night had the one that was missed was blocked. Kickoffs, more of like pooch kicks, which raises my blood pressure a little bit. You got to make sure that you you catch the football and take care of it to make sure that you've got the football. But they do a good job of covering those. Then punts, they protected the punt really well, and he probably hit it 30, 35 yards every time. They covered them well. So Coach Edge has won a lot of football games, and they're well coached, which is what you'd expect out of a guy that won a lot of football games. So they're not going to make those type of mistakes. Actually one big play, but they were really smooth after this. One big play in the North Posey game is they were punting deep in their own territory, and the snap is a little low, and the punter went to a knee to pick it up. But those are like the week one things that happen. They'll get that fixed and moved on. But that was a big play in that game.
Well, and if he's a shortstop, that's kind of hard to get out of your head because you're like, I got to make sure I keep it in front of me, and that goes down to a knee. Unfortunately, I've been there and done that mistake too as a player.
Yep.
But so, Coach, anything else you'd like to add for this week's show as we get ready for week number 2 against South Spencer?
No, I don't think so. Just it's an exciting time. As we kind of go through this, our schedule where we kind of have the early conference games and then we go non-conference and late conference games. I think it's I kind of like it, kind of don't. The thing I like is it's week 2 and it's a huge game. If you want to win a conference championship, it's an important game, and we know that they're going to come ready to play, and we got to have a great week of practice and prepare and go out and play on Friday night. Well,
and I know it was a great crowd for week number 1. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in week 2 at home.
It was a great crowd. It was a lot of fun, and I don't hear the crowd often, but you could hear big plays and stuff, hear some roars and stuff. So it was a great atmosphere, and look forward to the same thing on Friday.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. So, Coach Hart, good luck Friday night, and we'll see you after the game on the post-game show. And best of luck to the players. We would like to thank all of you for joining us here on 89.1 The Bash for the Nick Hart Show. And be sure to catch us each week at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night for your look inside GIbson Southern Titans football. Before we sign off, though, we would like to thank all of the supporters of the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show has been brought to you by Ziliak Enterprises, United Fidelity Bank, Titan Youth Football League, Trapping and Removal of Animal Pest, Tin Barge Seed, South Gibson Grain, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Sandy's Pizza, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating LLC, Progressive Health Rehabilitation and Orthopedic Associates, by Pro Rehab, Pole Concrete Construction, MyTech Systems, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Make Your Mark, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Kissel Farms Incorporated, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, Kathy Solman Photography, Julia's School of Dance, Johnson Commercial Mowing, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Hilliard Lyons, Matt Monroe, Hydorn Construction, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hob Range Hood Company, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Daylight Land Management, Cox Family Eye Care PC, Chips Sell My Teas, Brett's Car Care, and Matt Michael of AgriGold. The Nick Hart Show is a special production of 89.1 The Bash and the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department.